Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mouthing Off with Mike Wrestling Podcast, and welcome in to my NXT Vengeance Day predictions. We've got a great match card here from NXT. We've got Vengeance Day emanating from Clarksdale, Tennessee, Sunday evening, afternoon if you're on the West Coast. We've got a lot of action to get into. We've got Whoop That Trick Williams pulling double duty in the main event, more than likely, plus in the Dusty Cup finals. We've got a women's title match. We've got a North American Championship match. We've got a six-person mixed tag team match. We got a whole hell of a lot to talk about here when it comes to NXT Vengeance Day. So stay tuned and buckle up, baby. Let's get right into the action. How about it, ladies and gentlemen? Newest match added here late the week before NXT Vengeance Day. Of course, we know it's Sunday evening on Peacock. Make sure you subscribe to Peacock. Get your WWE Premium Live Event fix until things change. But I'm gonna touch base here on some of the undercard, work our way to those championship matches. I mean, at this point, if you're watching Mouthing Off with Mike, you know the deal by now. So listen, we got the Don, Tony D'Angelo, the Underboss, Channing, Stacks, Lorenzo, and the Riz, Adrianna, Rizzo, taking on Out the Mud, Bronco, Nima, Lucien Price, and Jaida Parker in six-person tag team action. Now, let me tell you here something about this match right now. I'll be honest. I'm pulling for the family. You already know. This Italian, I'm always going to root for the family. I dare I say I'm an honorary member of the family. So, Tony D, if you happen to perchance catch this, let me know what business I can take care of for you, my guy. Listen, if I'm going to give you my prediction here, I'm going to give you a pick. I'm going to be biased. I'm going to take the Italians. The family's going to beat Out the Mud. Now, look, I really like what we're doing with Out the Mud. You know, we're bringing, more of that Miami, that 305 energy, definitely something reminiscent to Crime Time. And I don't want to put these things in a box. I don't want to compare and sound like that guy because they really are separate entities, what they've got going on. But it is very similar in a couple different ways. It's one of those things. But I do love the dynamic now of having Jaida Parker without the mud. You get this fun six-person tag team match. So I'm not complaining. I think it'll be a good match, and I think it'll be one that'll, probably fall right in between the title fights. So I'd say probably this will be a match maybe in between or before the women's or in between the NXT championship. Another match recently added to NXT Vengeance Day. Kind of a grudge fight. Over the last couple weeks, really over the last 2 weeks, we have been seeing Joe Gacy. Well, I should say Joe Gacy's kind of been all over the place for the last couple months in NXT. The dyad broke up. The schism is finished. This dude went off his rocker. He was under the ring. He was backstage. He was on top of the NXT building at one point on the Performance Center. He did commentary. The guy's been all over the place. He got put through a wall by Dijak a few weeks ago. Then he goes down to Dijak's, I would call his office, quote unquote, his little spot that's in the dark with one little lamp, very detective noir based Punisher / Sin City vibe with Dijak. I'm all in, dude. I have been a big fan of Dijak well before he had Dominik Dijakovic as his name. Even with the whole T-Bar thing, we don't really talk about it. It's kind of his Stardust, quote unquote. But man, he's super talented in the ring, man. If you've never seen his battles with Keith Lee in NXT, go back, check them out. Realistically, this dude should be on the main roster and he should have a nice role on the card, as that big guy that, we really don't have too many, big boys on the roster anymore. You don't have like a guy like The Undertaker anymore. You got maybe Omos, but be cool to have Dijak. Imagine a feud with Dijak and Omos. I think that's money. Look, you got Dijak and Joe Gacy in a no DQ match. I'm gonna give it to Mr. NXT as of recent. I'm gonna give it to Dijak here. Dijak gets a big win over Joe Gacy. I'm sure it'll be a great showing for Gacy and I'm sure it'll advance this whole storyline of like, he's kind of losing his mind almost. You got the Dusty Cup finals here. Whoever wins this wins the prestige of being the Dusty Tag Team Cup champions. You get a nice little trophy. You also get a number one contenders opportunity for the NXT tag titles. So whoever wins this match would, in theory, take on the family. Now you got Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. We've seen for months now and months of this teasing of a possible split between the two. We have yet to see the payoff. Could this be the culmination? And when we look at long-term storytelling, this very well could be one of NXT's greatest stories that they could have ever pieced together. A very similar potential to Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. All eyes are on this. They're taking on Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin, who have undeniable chemistry together. They have had these backstage interviews, these backstage segments where they're talking about what name they're going to call themselves. Wolf Dogs is one that's thrown around. Corbin ends up using it. He even comes out with Braun's wolf head on for one of the semifinal matches. Listen, I don't want to toot my own horn here and sound like that guy, but when I saw this pairing right away, I said, they're going in the Dusty Cup. They're going to be in the finals. They're going to win it. They're going to win the tag titles together. Because Shawn Michaels said that Bron Breakker has some stuff left in NXT to do. And really, the only things Bron Breakker has left is the tag titles and dare I say, the North American Championship. So you could see down the line, your match at Stand and Deliver WrestleMania weekend could see Bron Breakker's farewell match. He could challenge Oba Femi for that North American Championship if Oba Femi retains against Dragon Lee. We'll get into that match in a moment. As for the winners of this match, because you got Trick Willie playing double duty tonight, he's got a NXT Championship match against the Mad Dragon, Ilja Dragunov, a guy who never quits. He's all gas, no breaks, insane professional wrestler. I'm going to give the win to Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin. I think Baron Corbin, here's a guy who has went through the ringer. He's had success. He's had the highs. He's had the lows. Still to this day, should have won the Money in the Bank. Should have cashed it in successfully. The whole John Cena thing should never have happened. I digress. Time for Baron Corbin to get some gold. What better way to do it than with Bron Breakker, a guy who hasn't won the NXT tag titles? You got the North American Championship. Oba Femi, Dragon Lee, just spoke about it. This is going to be a great match. Look, Oba Femi won the NXT Men's Breakout Tournament. He was smart. He kept his eyes on everything that was going on around him because that contract is essentially NXT's Money in the Bank. If you're not an NXT watcher frequent like I am, you'll know that their breakout tournaments are essentially a Money in the Bank contract. They can get a championship title opportunity anytime, any place they want. Lola Vice has yet to cash in hers. She's beefing with Elektra. We saw that kind of pay off on NXT before Vengeance Day. Now you got Oba Femi. He cashed in his against Dragon Lee after Dragon Lee successfully defended his championship against Lexis King a few weeks ago. Great way for Oba Femi to make an impact. Let me tell you something. This dude is going to be a future WrestleMania main eventer. Mark my words. Barring any sort of personal, anything outside of the professional wrestling ring. And as whatever you believe in willing, this man is going to be big time for WWE. He's going to beat Dragon Lee, but it's going to be a hell of a match. It's going to be that David and Goliath match where Goliath's going to go out there and he's going to conquer for most of the match. David's going to get his shots in. He's going to give you hope, but then Goliath's going to put him down for the 1, 2, 3. Another match that has my attention, all my attention on it. Fantastic women's wrestlers up and coming here in the game. Lyra Valkyria, NXT Women's Champ, taking on Roxanne Perez, defending her title. Roxanne Perez won a battle royal that turned into a fatal four-way a few weeks ago to get that number one contendership. We've seen some weird stalker, I'm looking out for you stuff with Tatum Paxley. She even attacked Roxanne. Roxanne ended up getting her comeuppance back. Now we're getting the culmination of it. We have kept Roxanne away. Shawn Michaels has kept Roxanne away from the title for quite some time. I'll be honest. It's nice to see her back in the title picture because you get to a point with the NXT talent where if they go out there and they win all the championships multiple times, like Melo, right? Prime example. Melo, multiple time NXT champ, multiple time North American champ, hasn't won the tag titles. Possibly could happen with Trick. You never know. He got all of that done within his first 2 years, and you could say that's a feat. But then what happens with NXT? Because NXT is essentially your AAA program. It's your AAA baseball. If you're a baseball fan, you know you got the minor leagues. NXT is essentially your minor league, quote unquote. Dare I say NXT is a third brand now, and you could argue that NXT Level Up, which airs on Friday nights on Peacock, is now that feeder. But if you have these guys and gals go out there and they win all the titles and they have all these stories and everything's fantastic, but you're not in a position to put them in a high profile feud on the main roster, then you gotta slow them down a little bit. Like I hate to say like stutter them a little bit, but you gotta slow them down a little bit because you don't want to burn that out. And then like you get them to the main roster and then maybe they're not like, there's not enough cards in play to get them inserted into a big angle, or there could be so many moving parts at the main roster, right? The main roster talent is stacked. And I'll jump into that on the recap here Sunday. But I like that we kept Roxanne away from the title. Long tangent to get back to the point here. I really like that we kept her away from the title. Lyra Valkyria is going to retain her championship. She's going on a title run right now. I think Lyra's going to hold the title until Stand and Deliver WrestleMania weekend. I think she'll drop the title then to somebody. Oh, man, if I were to give you a shot in the dark, too early to tell right now before Mania season, Fallon Henley in a multi-woman match, maybe a ladder match again, similar to what we saw last year's WrestleMania, which I missed. I missed by 5 minutes, guys. LA traffic last year was no joke. I completely got screwed out of seeing that fantastic ladder match. So upset. Woke up, got ready, maybe a little bit behind. It's on me. It was an exhausting week, WrestleMania, I have to say. Especially in LA. I'm hoping Philly's a little bit better. But missed that opening match by about 5 minutes, man. It was unfortunate, but what are you going to do? That's that LA traffic, baby. I like Lyra Valkyria as champion. I like what she brings to the title. And I really do like this whole storyline with Tatum Paxley. I think it's working. And it's not in like the creepy, like overtly sexual, like stalker, like, you know, Mickey and Trish from back in the day. Ooh, God, I sound so old saying back in the day. Let me stop for a sec here. Pause. But I just like this. I really like where we're headed with this. Vengeance Days really looks good. In my personal opinion, this is a really fun card. And I'm going to thoroughly enjoy watching it. But unfortunately, I will not be watching it live for the first time in a long time. I'll be headed to GCW for my first ever GCW show. And that is another hell of a card. And I'll touch base on that and the final mouth off. Maybe we'll chat a little bit about that card. As for NXT Vengeance Day, your main event, more than likely, as it stands right now, will probably be Trick Williams taking on Ilja Dragunov for the NXT Championship. Oh boy. And if anything with this Carmelo and Trick story is going to happen, it's going to happen during this match. I want Trick Williams to win the NXT Championship so bad. Will it happen at Vengeance Day? I just don't know. There's a lot of me wants to say, like, look, Ilya's having a great run right now, but he's kind of a guy that really, you could slot him in the main roster right now, Gunther, opponent, WrestleMania, make a guy. Could also put that spot for Braun Breaker. I like the Trick and Mello slow burn. A lot of people getting a little antsy out there. I've seen some people comment about it. What's going on with this? He didn't attack him. It's going back months now, guys. I think Melo attacked Trick. I think the footage will get leaked during this match, or it'll get leaked after by NXT Anonymous. We have this all-seeing, I guess, quote-unquote narrator for NXT, the Anonymous, where they post these, cryptic tweets or some backstage stuff that we may not see, live on NXT. But this is going to be a fantastic match, man. The last time these two faced, Ilja got the win. And Trick was nowhere near the competitor he is now and the challenger set forth for Ilja that he is then and he is now. Completely different Trick Williams. Confidence, self-esteem. He's got everything going for him. The only thing he doesn't have going for him, possibly, is his good friend Melo. Now, Trick supported Melo. He was the Robin to his Batman. That entire Melo is him, NXT is him era. But can Melo play sidekick to Trick now? Will Trick dethrone Ilja? And then within the title reign, you start to see those cracks form with Melo and Trick, and then we finally get that match, which I still think, I said it a few weeks ago, that match will happen WrestleMania weekend. There's no show bigger for NXT than Stand and Deliver Mania weekend. And that is a match that is built for that show. So whatever happens with this title, know that this story will go and arc into WrestleMania. We are a hop, skip, and a jump away. It is the first week of February. We will be at Elimination Chamber in about 2.5 weeks. We will then be at March. And March, you got 1 month to get it all in order. And WrestleMania and NXT and all of these components, everything is all speculation and guessing, and I love it. This is what makes wrestling good. You don't know what's going to happen. You got to tune in, week out, and see what's going to happen. Because whether you're watching Raw or SmackDown or NXT, and I'll get to who I think is going to win this match, there's a level of uncertainty and unexpectedness to be had this season for WrestleMania that we haven't seen in quite some time, and I am excited about it. And if you're a wrestling fan, whether you're a big WWE fan, whether you watch all of the wrestling out there, whether you, whatever, this is going to be a good time, and I'm excited for it. Back to the match at hand. I'm going to give it to him, ladies and gentlemen. Trick Williams will become NXT champion Sunday at Vengeance Day, and thus starting the story with him and Melo heading to Stand and Deliver for WrestleMania. I'm a little sad I don't get to watch it live, but I'm also very excited that I get to go see GCW, Game Changer Wrestling, having a show out here where I reside. And I am excited to go. It's my first ever GCW show. I missed them WrestleMania 38 weekend. There was a possibility I was going to go to their show. I ended up going to MLW. It was a fun show, not going to lie, MLW. And now getting to not have to, go crazy and travel. They're coming. They're going to be local. So it's cool to get to see Matt Cardona, the indie god. I think we're going to get to see Chris Bay. You get to see Alex Hammerstone, Richard Holiday. I think we've got a couple multi-person matches. Nick Gage will be on the card. It'll be a fun show. Vengeance Day is going to be a great show. And if you're watching it, you're in for a hell of a show. I'm excited for this show. We'll talk a little bit about GCW. Why not? We'll talk a little bit about GCW. I'm very excited, to be quite honest. We can call this the unofficial mouthing off with Mike, final mouth off for this week. I'm excited. Anytime you get to go to, a quote-unquote indie show, anytime you get to go to a smaller show, I've always been a big fan of big wrestling shows, big wrestling events. But when you get those smaller shows, and you're still going to get to see some awesome names, some really bright stars of the future of this industry, some established stars of this industry, of course, in Cardona. It's a shame, though, the night before, you're going to get to see Cardona versus Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, have a match in LA, which sucks. I would have loved to seen Dolph, Nick Nemeth at this show. It's even crazy because I'm pretty sure he lives in Arizona. So I thought this match, I really thought when I saw that they had a whole exchange, I was like, oh man, this match is going to Phoenix and it's going to be awesome and I'm going to be there. So if you're getting the pay-per-view, look out for your boy. We'll be front row. I don't know, he swung that. So yeah, that's it, man. NXT Vengeance Day is going to be an awesome show. Go out there, enjoy it. I'll be tuning in late, so I'll be off social media. You won't get the usual annoying live tweets, but thanks for checking out the show this week, guys. I'll be back with the recap this week, covering WWE. I'll cover Raw, SmackDown. I won't cover NXT this week. Covered most of it here, so we'll cover Raw, SmackDown, AEW. I'll probably recap GCW potentially in a bonus video. So from your host here at Mouthing Off with Mike, go out there and enjoy the wrestling this weekend. No matter what you're watching, no matter what company you're watching, just enjoy wrestling, guys. I'm signing off. Peace.